Well, there's sad news today as the CEO of Royal Caribbean has announced that he'll be stepping down from the company after 33 years. And to put that into perspective, Richard Fain has been CEO of Royal Caribbean for as long as I've been alive. Norwegian Cruise Lines has announced that they are not in a race to get their ships back up to full capacity. We'll tell you what's going on with them. Royal Caribbean recently announced that they're delaying the delivery of several of their brand new ships. Are you aware that Carnival Cruise Line is still allowing some exemptions on most of their ships for a few unvaccinated passengers on board? Well, if you're not, they just recently sent out an update for those cruising between now and the end of the year. We'll give it to you so you have an idea of what's going on and how you can make the best decision for your next cruise. All this coming up on Midships. Hey, welcome to the Midships YouTube channel. I'm your Captain Corey. Thank you so much for stopping by the channel today. Well, as you can see, we are still on MSC Divina. We were supposed to be at the cruise line's private island, Ocean Key Marine Reserve. However, we ran into a little bit of a snag this morning coming in, trying to dock at the island. They have a very, very narrow channel that they've carved out for these large ships to get in. We're on the Divina right now because it's a fantastic ship and everyone should at least try it out one time just to get to the island. But they also have some larger ships like the Meraviglia, as well as the Seashore that's going to be coming online here shortly. So it's a kind of a narrow channel that they've got carved out, and I'm going to show you a video. They hooked us up to a tugboat to try to pull us in. There's a lot of currents, a lot of wind, a lot of waves going on. It's been a pretty rocky cruise all in all. Well, we tried 5 times to get back in to the island, and on the 5th try, this happened. So as you can see, that little rope didn't even stand a chance against the mighty MSC Divina. All right, that's enough for me. You came for the cruise news. Let's dive in with some news coming from Carnival Cruise Lines about some vaccine exemptions and waivers going on in the next month or so. From cruisehive.com by Robert McGilvery, Carnival Cruise Line sends exemption update to specific guests. Following the approval from the FDA as well as the CDC for children aged 5 to 11 to be vaccinated, Carnival Cruise Line sent a letter out to guests booked on cruises during the holiday seasons, explaining the changes to their exemption policy as well as limitations in place for said exemptions. With the surge of requests the cruise line has had for exemptions and the fact that only a very small number of exemption spaces are available on each sailing, guests do run the risk of missing their cruise if their kids are not allowed on board because of their vaccine status. The letter from Carnival was specifically addressed to those passengers with bookings between December 17th through the end of the year who have not yet received an approved vaccine exemption. Although the FDA and the CDC have now approved Pfizer vaccines for children, the cruise line is receiving far more requests for exemptions than it's able to provide space on board their ships. And that makes a lot of sense when you add in the fact that Carnival has said they're taking about 95% fully vaccinated passengers on all of their sailings. So really, that doesn't leave room for a ton of people getting on board that haven't had their vaccine. And we'll wrap the article up with this. This is not medical advice, but this is why Carnival is advising guests to consider having their kids vaccinated this week. Otherwise, they might be too late to make their cruise come the holiday seasons. And we'll wrap this article up with some important tips coming from Carnival Cruise Line about the best way to avoid not receiving an exemption for your next cruise. So, Carnival is advising guests to consider having their kids vaccinated this very week. Otherwise, they might be too late to make it for the holiday seasons. And that makes sense because basically you're waiting a month between doses, plus you have to wait 2 additional weeks after your second dose to be considered fully vaccinated and eligible to go on a Carnival cruise or any cruise really out of the US. So in a quote from Carnival, while the decision to vaccinate your children is obviously a personal one, if you are intent on cruising and would like to guarantee that your family traveling with children aged 5 to 11 will be allowed to sail, we encourage you to look at your vaccine options. To meet the definition of fully vaccinated for embarkations, December 17th, the first dose of the vaccine will need to be administered this week. And of course, like I mentioned, that's factoring in the interval between shots and the 2-week follow-up period after your second dose. And again, I'm so sorry to always have to bring this vaccine news out to the forefront for everybody. I know there's people in the audience who have both opinions on what they want to do with the vaccine, and I bet there's even more opinions on vaccines for children. And you guys are welcome to leave them down in my comment section. Make sure you're respectful. don't be a jerk because you're going to get blocked so fast, I don't want to even see it down there, all right? But please go ahead, comment below. I would love to hear your opinion on some of this. While you're down there, why don't you check out some of the Amazon affiliate links that I have in my description box. There's some fantastic cruise swag that I have in there that I personally use on all my cruises. Kind of like this cruise lanyard that I use on every single one of my cruises. It also doubles as a fantastic microphone clip, but that's beside the point. And just so you know, even if you click the link and you don't buy anything, you still support the channel just a little bit. So thank you very much. Now let's switch gears over to Norwegian Cruise Line because they've come out recently and said, hey, we're not really in a hurry to get back to full capacity. And to me, that makes sense because Norwegian is really struggling right now to keep COVID off of their ships. And I can't really understand why, because they have the most strict vaccine mandates in the industry right now sailing out of the US. So let's take a look at the CDC color status chart for all of their ships, and then we'll go ahead and read an article about why they're not in such a hurry to get to full capacity. And so if you're not familiar with what you're looking at here, this is the color chart from the CDC. Basically, if you're going on a cruise ship, ideally, your cruise ship is in green status or maybe yellow status. When you're in orange status, the CDC has actually had to come intervene, see what's going on board the ship, maybe make some recommendations to you. So this chart, this is put out almost every day by Tanner Calise over at Cruzely.com. Like everything referenced in today's episode, there will be a link in the description below. I would highly encourage you to check this out. Look at it for your next cruise ship. You can see I'm on MSC Divina, and we are in green status right now, baby. So I love it. But let's focus now on Norwegian Cruise Line, because like I said, they're the single most strict cruise line as far as their vaccination policy is concerned on board the ship. So you can see that over half of their ships sailing are in either yellow or orange status. And actually, if you were to look back a couple more days from this chart, like 2 or 3 more days back, there would be an additional 1, maybe even 2 ships that were in orange status, just remembering off the top of my head. So like I said in a previous recording, it's really interesting to me that Norwegian is the cruise line that's actually struggling seemingly the most if you just go by the hard numbers here. And my personal opinion is it's because they don't require masks on their cruise line. And the other thing is, when you tell a bunch of people they're around only people who are fully vaccinated 100%, you're gonna let your guard down. You're gonna get close, you're gonna have closer conversations. Again, no masks. It's a recipe to have a problem. So let's go ahead, hop into the article before I keep talking way too much. From cruiseindustrynews.com, Norwegian, not in a race to fill ships to 100% capacity. Norwegian Cruise Line Holdings saw 40% of its berth capacity back in service during the third quarter, with occupancy levels around 57%, according to their CFO, Mark Kempa. Despite the reduced occupancy levels in this quarter, I'm extremely happy to report that the fleet that operated in the period was cash flow positive. Despite the 57% occupancy level, the company's not in a race to fill their ships up to the 100% mark. Kempa continued, as we said time and time again, we're not in a race to just fill volume. We want to maintain price discipline, and we're going to do that. Rather than looking at occupancy, we think a better metric is looking at the number of passengers that we're carrying. Mark believes in the third quarter, they had about 60,000 passengers. And Norwegian CEO, a man that I don't necessarily care all that much for, but... And Norwegian CEO, Frank Del Rio, he added, we've seen time and time again that companies have dropped prices, as we saw back in 2008 and 2009 during the Great Recession. It takes years. There are some who have not yet recovered their pre-Great Recession yields a decade later or more. So we are fixating on maintaining our price point. Well, there you have it, straight from the CEO himself, Frank Del Rio. No discounts given out on Norwegian Cruise Lines right now. And to be quite honest with you, that makes some really good financial sense, because you don't want to train your customers to enjoy and expect a low price point only to turn around in 6 months or a year and that price has doubled or tripled. That's not something that anyone's going to be happy with. So honestly, I think Norwegian's on the right track with this policy. Now let's shift gears over to Royal Caribbean, because there's tons of news coming from the company. Not only is their CEO stepping down, but they also just announced that they're going to delay the release of some brand new ships. Let's learn about that first, and then we'll talk about Richard Fain. From cruisecritic.com by Fran Golden. Royal Caribbean Group delays launch dates for several cruise ship new builds. Citing the pandemic's impact on shipyards, among other factors such as supply chain issues, Royal Caribbean Group updated dates for new ship launches for the company's Royal Caribbean International, Celebrity, Silver Seas, as well as their TUI brands. And Royal Caribbean issued the following statement. COVID-19 has impacted shipyard operations, which has and may continue to result in delays of our previously contracted ship deliveries. Royal Caribbean's Wonder of the Seas, the largest cruise ship ever built, left the shipyard in France last week and is set to enter service March 4th of 2022 out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And a previously announced but yet to be named Oasis-class sister ship will not arrive now until the second quarter of 2024. Additionally, Royal Caribbean's first Icon-class ship, the Icon of the Seas, will be delivered as scheduled in fall of 2023, a year later than her original delivery date. The company plans to release 2 additional sister ships in the Icon class in 2025 as well as 2026. And if you're not aware, Royal Caribbean Group also owns some subsidiary cruise lines such as Celebrity, so we're going to touch on Celebrity Beyond, who's set to debut next year as the 3rd Edge-class ship. A 4th sister ship will join this fleet in late 2023, and a 5th Edge-class ship was originally set to debut in 2024, but has now been pushed back a year. So it's always a little disappointing to hear news about delays, cancellations, what have you, in regards to brand new cruise ship. But rest assured, I bet you that Icon of the Seas is gonna be fantastic. I cannot wait to sail aboard. Now let's keep up with the Royal Caribbean theme because we have to talk about their CEO, Richard Fain. The man is an icon. He is a legend in the cruise industry. He has been around for as long as I've been alive, working at Royal Caribbean, and he just announced he's stepping down. So let's take a look at what's going on at Royal Caribbean. From cruisecritic.com by Fran Golden. Royal Caribbean's visionary cruise leader, Richard Fain, to step down as CEO. And there's a photo of Richard in the middle. He is this man right here under the G&E in Celebrity Edge. Or I could have said he's the only guy wearing khakis, which, Richard, you're blazing the trail in fashion. Love it, love it, love it. If you like big cruise ships with rock climbing walls, ice skating rinks, high diving acts, bumper cars, carousels, movable platforms, and a whole lot of other wow attractions, then you should thank 74-year-old Richard Fain, who today announced he's stepping down after more than 3 decades running Royal Caribbean Group. Fain led the company for more than 33 years and will step down on January 3rd of 2022 to be succeeded by the company's CFO, Jason Liberty, who will join the board of directors. Fain will remain as a chair on the board of directors, so don't worry too much. The company's CEO is a visionary, never shy of cruise ship innovations some would have dismissed as being crazy. Brilliant with a twinkle in his eye, Fain in many ways shaped modern cruising. He launched revolutionary ships with groundbreaking features enjoyed by millions and millions of cruisers. Under his leadership, Royal Caribbean Group grew to a global fleet of 60 ships and numerous sub-brands, including Royal Caribbean, Celebrity, Silver Seas, and ownership in TUI Cruises, as well as Hapag-Lloyd. With cruising shut down temporarily by COVID, Fain, with his calm and cool demeanor, led from the front with his weekly video messages delivered from his garden in Miami, Florida. His usually short hair growing ever longer as the pandemic wore on. Don't we all know that? He has been the industry's prominent face as cruising has returned post-pandemic. His message, with vaccination requirements, testing, and other health and safety protocols now in place, cruising is the safest vacation you can choose. So congratulations to Richard Fain on a fantastic and successful career. You will be remembered for a very long time in the cruise industry, I can promise you that. If you made it this far into today's episode, why haven't you subscribed to the channel yet? I know only 14% of my viewers have officially made the subscription choice. Why don't you go ahead, take us for a test drive for a week or 2. If you don't love it, you can always unsubscribe, but it doesn't cost anything, and I promise I won't bug you up more than once a day. And while you're down there hitting the subscribe button, why don't you do me the biggest favor that you could and hit the thumbs up button. That tells the YouTube algorithm that this type of cruising content should be seen by everybody who loves cruising. Thanks so much for stopping by the channel today, and until tomorrow, we'll see you on the Midships. The largest cruise ship in the world has just left the shipyard and she's on her way to the south of France to receive her finishing touches. Carnival Cruise Line is changing their tune as they begin to roll out limited pre-cruise testing in port. And we have 2 ships restarting operations out of Florida. Another cruise line is hopping on the around the world cruise bandwagon. Plus, today's the day the border is now open for Brits to come take a cruise out of the US. All this coming up on Midships. So, you're looking to spend probably $1,800 to $2,000 just to get a seat on board Wonder of the Seas. And Wonder of the Seas is not the only brand new ship Royal Caribbean has up their sleeve, because like we reported on previously, Icon of the Seas is set to follow up sometime in 2024. It's that new LNG, liquefied natural gas powered cruise ship that Royal Caribbean's putting out, and it will be part of a brand new class of vessels called Icon Class, the very first one. If you made it this far into today's video, why haven't you subscribed to our channel yet? I got an email from YouTube the other day saying, Captain Corey, you don't have enough subscribers for some reason. You're not hitting the normal metrics that we like to see. So if y'all would do me a favor, hit the subscribe button. I won't pester you. It doesn't cost anything. It's free, and you'll get wonderful cruise news delivered right to your homepage every time you log into YouTube. Make sure you smash the thumbs up button on this video to tell YouTube to push this out to other cruisers. And until tomorrow, we'll see you on the Midships.
La 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 la